When you first land in Japan, everything feels calm and ordered, almost like stepping into another rhythm of life. The air inside the airport seems hushed. The loudspeaker voices are soft and polite. Airport staff bow deeply, even if they will never see you again. There is no rush or pushing. The floors gleam, and you hear the gentle roll of luggage wheels instead of shouting. The signage is clear and color-coded, but if you stop to read too long, someone will pause and quietly help without making you feel embarrassed. Taxi drivers wear crisp white gloves and gently open the car door for you, treating every passenger like someone important. The respect feels immediate but subtle, you sense it without words. At Narita Airport, I hesitated at the train ticket machine, unsure which button to press. A woman with a baby strapped to her chest stopped without hesitation, showed me how to buy the pass, smiled shyly, and bowed before rushing off to catch her own train. Another traveler described losing his balance with heavy bags. Within seconds, a man in a business suit helped lift them without saying a word, only a quick bow before disappearing into the crowd. Japan's arrival feels like stepping into a silent movie. Calm voices, neat lines, and the faint scent of green tea from kiosks drift in the air. In South Korea, the welcome is louder and warmer. Immigration officers sometimes joke. Airport workers greet you with easy smiles and casual English, and you feel curiosity instead of distance. Seoul hits you right away with sound and energy. Upbeat music leaks from shops. Neon signs glow even near the terminal, and you smell fried chicken, coffee, and sweetbreads from airport cafes. There's motion and chatter, but it doesn't feel hostile. It feels alive. A young man at Incheon once came right up to me and said, "You look lost, where are you going?" He didn't just give directions. He walked me all the way to the bus stop, explaining which line was safest and even showing me how to pay. Another traveler said they were struggling with the Metro card machine when a group of college students ran over laughing, and helped set it up, practicing their English and teaching new Korean words in between. Japan's first moments make you feel safe and respected, but from a polite, comfortable distance. Korea's first moments make you feel safe and also included, like someone is ready to walk beside you until you're okay. One arrival is gentle and quiet, the other is warm and buzzing with life. Both kindnesses reach you, but in very different ways. Once you step beyond the airport and begin daily life, the kindness doesn't fade, it gets woven into everything you do, though each country shows it in a different way. In Japan, strangers will absolutely help you, but they tend to wait until you ask or they see you truly struggling. When you do ask, the help is complete and thoughtful. If you drop a wallet, it almost always comes back with everything inside, money untouched, cards neatly placed. Phones left on trains are turned into station staff who log them carefully and even contact your hotel if they can. A traveler once said, "I lost my passport in Tokyo. I panicked, but hours later the police called my guest house to say someone had turned it in. Everything was still there." Convenience stores konbini become safe havens for lost foreigners. Clerks will step out from behind the counter to help you read a map or show you how to print a train ticket. If you don't know Japanese, they'll patiently gesture and even draw small maps on paper. It's quiet help, but you feel protected. In South Korea, the help often finds you before you even know you need it. People watch and notice. If you look confused at a subway map, someone, often a young student, will walk right up to you, smile, and ask where you're going. They love to practice English and help travelers at the same time. One day in Seoul, I was frozen in front of the tangled subway lines. A teenage boy came over, asked where I was headed, helped me load a T-Money card, and even rode with me for a few stops just to make sure I got off at the right place. Another traveler shared, "I dropped my bag while getting off a bus. Before I could even react, a man ran after me down the street, shouting and waving until he handed it back." In Busan, a couple once saw me holding my phone helplessly with Google Translate open. They took my photo, sent it to their friends to check the address, and then personally guided me to my hostel even though it was 15 minutes out of their way. The energy feels different. Japan's help is quiet and efficient. You rarely get small talk, but the support is safe and reliable. Korea's help is warm, personal, and often comes with conversation and laughter. Both ways leave you surprised and grateful, but in different rhythms. Japan with silent precision, Korea with human warmth. In Japan, kindness deepens slowly, like trust being built brick by brick. At first, you might think everyone wants to keep their distance, but after a few small, respectful exchanges, doors begin to open quietly and without drama. One evening in Kyoto, I stopped to admire handmade stationery inside a tiny shop. The owner, an older woman with silver hair tucked under a scarf, began a soft conversation about calligraphy. When I purchased a small notebook, she unexpectedly offered tea. I sat on a floor cushion while her shy father came out and served mochi with green tea, smiling but speaking little. There were no big gestures, but the warmth was unmistakable. Later, she handed me a small paper crane as a gift, no words, just a bow. Japanese warmth often comes in small but deeply meaningful ways. A quiet invitation to join a tea ceremony after being curious at a temple, a neighbor offering home-cooked food after noticing you're staying alone, or a shopkeeper walking you to a bus stop and then waiting until it arrives. One traveler said, "I met a bookseller while browsing travel guides. We talked in broken English for 20 minutes. The next day, she invited me to her home for dinner with her husband. We laughed, shared photos, and they insisted I take leftovers for my trip." These moments are rare but life-changing because they feel so personal. In South Korea, the warmth comes quickly and boldly. The culture values group togetherness, and strangers seem eager to pull you into their circle. You might meet someone at a cafe and by nightfall be sitting at a crowded barbecue table, grill sizzling, soju glasses clinking. I once stopped for a snack in Seoul and said hello to the couple beside me. Minutes later, they ordered extra tteokbokki for me and started teaching Korean words while laughing about my chopstick skills. They asked where I was staying and even offered to walk me back safely after dinner. Another traveler describes stepping into a small pub in Busan alone. Within minutes, a group of young professionals invited him to join their table. They shared fried chicken, taught him drinking games, and by the end of the night had added him to a group chat with endless restaurant suggestions. In Korea, social invitations happen fast and feel joyful. Karaoke, norbang, with people you just met, picnics at the Han River where strangers share snacks and drinks, even being invited to weddings of friends after just a few days of knowing each other. The contrast is striking. In Japan, kindness takes time but feels profound and thoughtful once you included, like being invited into a quiet, private world. In Korea, kindness is immediate and social, like joining a vibrant celebration without needing an introduction. Both ways make you feel cared for. One is quiet and deep, the other open and energetic. Japan is famous around the world for safety, but you only feel its depth when you're there. Streets are clean, even late at night. Children as young as 6 walk to school alone with tiny yellow hats and backpacks. Cars stop automatically to let them cross. People nap on park benches and in trains without fear. Travelers often say it's the first time they've felt safe enough to breathe fully in a foreign city. One visitor told me, "I left my laptop and camera in a Tokyo cafe to use the bathroom. When I came back 30 minutes later, nothing had moved, not even my coffee cup." Another said, "I accidentally left my bag in Shinjuku station. 2 hours later, the station staff handed it back with every coin still inside and apologized for the delay." Even taxi drivers often return overpayments if you hand them too much cash. Safety in Japan isn't just about crime being low, it's a cultural standard. There's a system built on trust. Lost and found centers are efficient and honest. If you lose something, staff will ask detailed questions, log it, and notify local police. Once, a photographer left an expensive camera on a bullet train. 2 days later, it arrived at his hotel by courier with a polite note thanking him for visiting Japan. During bad weather, strangers may offer you an umbrella without expecting it back or gently warn you about dangerous spots near rivers or steep streets. The kindness is quiet but deeply reliable. South Korea, on the other hand, is also safe but in a more people-focused and protective way. Koreans seem to feel a personal responsibility when they see a visitor vulnerable or confused. One night in Seoul, I accidentally flagged a private, overpriced taxi instead of the regular metered one. A middle-aged woman nearby rushed over, stopped the car, and argued with the driver in Korean until he drove off. She then called another cab, helped me inside, and waved until it pulled away. Another traveler shared, "I was drunk and alone after missing the last train. 3 strangers approached, checked where my hotel was, and called me a safe cab. One even put the hotel address into the driver's GPS and refused to leave until I was secure." Sometimes the protection is small but meaningful. A young girl tapped my shoulder on a crowded Seoul street because my backpack zipper was open. Another time, during a subway delay late at night, groups of strangers spontaneously formed and split taxis so everyone could get home safely. People worry about you not out of suspicion but out of community spirit. The difference is subtle but powerful. Japan's safety feels like stepping into a flawless system. The environment itself protects you without needing anyone to intervene. Korea's safety feels alive and human. People step forward and personally watch over you. In Japan, you trust the culture. In Korea, you trust the people. Both make you feel secure in completely different, beautiful ways. Experiencing culture in Japan and South Korea is where kindness takes on color, sound, and memory. Each country opens its doors in its own way. Japan with gentle grace and deep tradition. Korea with vibrant energy and joyful community. In Japan, cultural kindness often feels ceremonial. Festivals, or matsuri, may look quiet from the outside, but when you step in, neighbors smile, bow, and share space with you. Lanterns swing gently, taiko drums echo in the distance, and you smell grilled yakitori and sweet dango on the air. I once wandered into a small summer festival in a Kyoto backstreet. At first I stood awkwardly, not sure if I was intruding. Then an elderly woman offered me a paper fan, nodded with a soft smile, and motioned for me to join the dance circle. My steps were clumsy, but instead of laughter, there was patient encouragement, small claps, and gentle corrections. At the end, a man handed me a tiny packet of sweets for good luck. Cherry blossom season hanami is another subtle kindness. Families lay out picnic mats under blooming sakura trees and invite strangers to join. I was alone once, taking photos of petals drifting down like pink snow. A group waved me over, poured tea, and offered homemade onigiri. Conversation was minimal, but the feeling of being included without needing words was powerful. It's a slow, soft welcome into a centuries-old ritual. In South Korea, the cultural embrace is immediate and loud, full of life and sound. Night markets burst with sizzling meats, neon lights, and pop music. If you linger at a food stall too long, someone might wave you over, buy you a skewer of tteokbokki, and teach you how to eat it without burning your tongue. One evening in Seoul, I found myself at a riverside picnic at the Han River. Strangers playing music invited me to sit, poured me a cup of makgeolli, rice wine, and taught me to say cheers in Korean. Within an hour, I was part of their friend group, taking photos and laughing like we'd known each other for years. Festivals in Korea are especially magnetic. At the Lantern Festival in Seoul, I was given a lantern by a family I'd just met. The grandmother guided my hands as I wrote a wish in Korean and then laughed as I tried to pronounce it. Another traveler told me they visited a small mountain village during Chuseok, the Korean Harvest Festival. Locals invited them to help make songpyeon rice cakes, shared family stories, and even took them to a village dance later that night. The difference is striking but beautiful. In Japan, cultural kindness is quiet, respectful, and almost sacred. You feel like you're stepping carefully into something ancient and being trusted with it. In Korea, it's vibrant and inclusive. You're pulled into the fun, the songs, the laughter, until you forget you started as a stranger. Both ways leave powerful memories. Japan gives you peace and reflection. Korea gives you warmth and belonging. Goodbye feels different in Japan and South Korea, but in both places it catches travelers off guard. In Japan, partings are quiet but profoundly respectful. People you met only briefly may appear just to send you off. My Tokyo host, a man I'd known less than a week, surprised me on the morning of my departure with a small, hand-drawn map of our neighborhood walks. He bowed deeply, twice, and handed me a packet of tea. There were few words, just a quiet wait to the moment that made my chest ache. A traveler said, "My homestay family lined up at the door and bowed while I left. No hugs, no tears, but the respect and care nearly broke me." Others speak of small farewell gifts, origami cranes, handwritten notes, a bento for the train. Japan's goodbye is understated but heavy with meaning, the sort of kindness that doesn't need noise to feel eternal. South Korea's farewells, by contrast, are emotional and lively. People you met days ago might show up at the train station or airport. Friends from a single night out will wave signs, bring snacks, or film silly goodbye videos. I remember leaving Seoul after only a short stay with new friends. They arrived at my hotel unannounced, armed with fried chicken and coffee for the journey. They insisted on taking photos, exchanged social media handles, and promised to visit if I ever returned. One man said, "We sang karaoke one night, and the next day they all took off work just to walk me to the bus terminal." Another traveler told how her Airbnb host not only called a taxi but rode along to make sure she didn't overpay and hugged her tightly at the airport drop-off. The emotions linger long after. On flights home, travelers write that Japan leaves them quiet, reflective, and grateful, moved by the calm safety and gentle dignity shown to them. Korea leaves them laughing through tears, scrolling through new contacts and selfies, full of promises to return and see friends again. Japan changes the way you think about respect and trust. Korea changes how you think about friendship and warmth. Both countries prove that kindness doesn't have one face. Japan protects and honors you. Korea welcomes and celebrates you. Japan teaches that even silent gestures can hold immense care. Korea reminds you that strangers can become family overnight. Travelers often can't decide which is kinder, and maybe that's the answer. Kindness wears many forms, and both places prove the world can still surprise you with care.